Hey guys, today I want to talk about resorts. And resorts in the Philippines can be quite fun sometimes, or interesting, I should say. Not fun all the time, but they can be kind of interesting. And I want to talk about this because this, as I pass through a lot of towns here, I see these signs and it says Mabel's Resort or Joe's Resort or the Philippine Resort or whatever the name of the place is, whatever it may be, and they're not what I would consider like a resort of any kind. Like back, as far as United States standards go, a lot of us have really high up their standards. And these places, I call them Filipino resorts because they really are Filipino resorts. Because here's the difference: is we in the United States, we're spoiled. Let's face it, we're spoiled. And when we go someplace, we expect high U.S. standards. We expect things to be perfect. We expect flush toilets. We expect nice, clean rooms. We expect a clean pool or a clean pool area. No trash on the ground when you go to a resort. Clean sheets, clean everything. And when you come to the Philippines and you see some of these resorts, they're just not up to standards of a United States citizen or even a European for that matter, for the most part. And even to some Filipinos, I'll be honest with you, some Filipinos are kind of repulsed by some of the resorts that are here that people get away with calling a resort. I remember going to a place, and I did a video on it years ago, and I'm going to talk about this a little bit, but I really want to just use this as an example. I went to this place, and I looked it up online, and I talked to the people on Facebook, and it was this resort, and it was down in Batangas. And what happened was we went there, and I did a thing, I called it Scam Resort, because they talk to you online and says, come on down, we have a place for you, we'll fit you in here. We have all kinds of places here available, and you can have your own cabana, and it's right on the beach, and it's beautiful. And they sent you pictures, and it looked really beautiful. The pictures that they took, they had probably a professional photographer take the pictures. But when I got there, it was, at best, it was like a squatter's area, and it was a squatter's area. And what had happened is all the squatters got together, and they all got together and must have had a big meeting down there and says, hey, listen, let's do this here, and we'll turn this place into a resort. We'll build these things. So they built like a Filipino style resort, and it was actually kind of cool that they did that. But the place was really substandard, and they had so many people going there that it was turning into like a giant toilet. And I mean that quite literally, because they were emptying their sewage, and the sewage was going out into the beach water. And what happened was, within, I'd say, like about 2 or 3 weeks after I did that vlog on there, other people started complaining too. And I guess they started making calls and stuff like that. And when I was there, I had talked to a few people there that were Filipinos, and they were kind of disgusted too, because the bathrooms were overflowing, the toilets were overflowing, and they had the I think they call them the tubo or whatever, the thing to turn, flush the toilet or whatever. They use a little bucket to flush the toilet. You had to flush the toilet, and you had to fill up the bucket with pump water, for the toilet. So it was kind of like living out in the jungle, kind of, and yet everything was kind of dirty and grungy. It wasn't very clean. It wasn't really nice. They had electricity there, but when you went down to the beach, it was gross. The water was gross. Now, the water, as you get out further, it's clean out there. Don't get me wrong. Batangas has the most beautiful water out around. And I was kind of glad to see the place get closed down. I'm sure it put a lot of people out of work, which is sad. But the fact is, that's what a lot of Filipino resorts are. And some of the resorts are way above that. But to find 5-star resorts in the Philippines is pretty hard to find. They have them down in Palawan. They even have them down in Batangas. But you got to seek them out. And a 5-star resort here is probably not 5-star back in the U.S. or in some of the other countries around here. Philippines has kind of its own 5-star rating, I guess. And some people will give a place that's substandard here because they're used to living in I won't say squalor, but they're used to living in different living conditions. So it's a step up from where they live. So they give it 5 stars and say, oh, we loved it, we had a great time there. And they probably did have a great time there. But as Americans, our expectations are way higher than that. And that's part of living in the Philippines. You have to kind of expect when you go places, whether it be, and restaurants are different here. They do have 5-star restaurants here. Don't get me wrong on that. There's a lot of them up in Makati. There's a lot of them all around here. There's a lot of beautiful places to eat here, wonderful food and everything, and a lot of the restaurants and place that are in hotels and stuff like that are good places. They have some really good 5-star restaurants in some of the hotels, and some of the hotels are really nice, and some of the big high traffic areas here that are, shown on TV and stuff like that, like Palawan and many other places. Even up by Subic, there's some places that are very, very beautiful places. 100 Islands, there's places up there. But when you come here, kind of lower your expectations when you come here, and kind of get used to Filipino style here. There are places where they're going to cater to you on the beach, and they're going to bring they'll wait on you hand and foot while you're sitting in the beach and with your feet in the white sand and the nice clean water. There are places in Boracay, there's places all around the Philippines that have places like that, but they're not as common because the people here for the most part don't have the money. And when you go to some of these places, and I've gone into some places where it's just like 3 or 4 cabanas on the beach and a small place where the people live or whatever, and they call that like so-and-so's resort or something like that. And down in Batangas, those are quite common. And even south of there, all the way down to like Naga City and in some of the other islands too, they call those resorts. And they're really not a resort. They don't even have a flush toilet or anything, but they call it a resort because it is to Filipinos. It's right on the beach. It's a place where Filipinos can go swim. They can have a barbecue, and they can have it on the cheap. A lot of people in the Philippines, what happens is they're poor. They might have a car, or they might use their cousin's car, or rent a car or whatever, and say, hey, let's get 6 of us to go on a trip, or we'll fill up a van or whatever. We'll go on a road trip, and we'll go down to this place. And you rent a cabana for maybe 400 or 600 or 1,200 pesos, and you got it for the day, and you can have a fire and a barbecue there or what have you, And it's kind of nice. But, your expectations kind of have to change here. And I've gone on trips, and we went on a trip just recently. It's, and some of the people were complaining about our trip because of the resort that we went to. And we didn't go to the resort to use the resort. We went to the resort strictly to use the boat. We were just going to go out in the boat because the boat trip down there is phenomenal down in Batangas. And we took the boat trip out, and we all had a great time and ended up having a great day there. and it was just a phenomenal day. But the place itself used to actually be a nice resort down there. And I'm not going to say the name of it because I think that they had a few storms and it did some damage down there. And I could see that the beach wasn't as white as it used to be, and it looked like it was just not as beautiful as it once was. And I noticed that they weren't taking care of it as much as they were before. And I saw a lot of changes. And after a big storm, sometimes it does damage to the shoreline. But I did notice that the beach had eroded so much that it wasn't the beach that it once was. At one time, the place was really a beautiful beach. The resort, is it what I would consider a nice resort? I've stayed there before, and I stayed overnight. And they, to stay there overnight, it was different than staying at a really high-class resort because the people are up till 4 o'clock in the morning partying. The food there was not that good. I tried to order a quarter keg of beer. The beer was out of date. When they took it down, I looked at the date. It was like over a year and a half old, out of date. Things like that. These are things that you're going to run into at resorts in the Philippines. Now, is it like that everywhere in the Philippines? Pretty much. There are those, 3, 4, and 5-star resorts out there that you can find out there. But don't expect perfection here like you do in most resorts throughout the world. You're just not going to find it. You can find it in some places, but it's hard. And I'm going to tell you, Filipinos work really, really hard to try to please you and everything. They really do work hard to try to please you, and most of them will. But at these lower resorts, I would say this, that you're not going to get the service that you would anyplace else. You're not going to. In fact, you're going to have to ask a lot of questions to get answers to things that you're looking for and stuff like that. And also, you're going to get subpar bathrooms, showers, things like that at some of these resorts. It's what people are used to here. So remember, when you're looking at resorts, don't always go by, well, this says 4 stars, this says 5 stars, this says 3 stars, because some people will give a Filipino resort a 5-star review because that's what they're used to. They're not used to ever having gone to a 5-star place where they're waiting on you hand and foot. That's the substantial difference. I noticed one vlogger here, he was posting the 5-star view at his 5-star hotel and 5-star beach and all this stuff, and there was a girl there walking 2 pigs on a leash. And if they have that going on at the beach, it's probably not a 5-star beach or 5-star hotel or 5-star place. Just being, honest here. But this guy here was showing that off, and I mean, what people call 5-star here and what I call 5-star are 2 different things, okay? And you'll understand that when you travel around here, and if you guys are new to the Philippines, you'll start seeing that anyway. It's just something you have to deal with here. Not to say that there aren't 5-star places. There are. There's many. It's best to find a private beach, maybe up in Aurora or something like that, and go by yourself and bring all your own stuff and have your own little resort. There's a lot of beaches up along the coast, the eastern coast of the Philippines, where there's a lot of areas that are untouched and people don't even bother going swimming there. You have the whole beach to yourself, maybe for a mile or so in some of these areas, because there's no towns nearby, but there's nice white beaches there, and there's all kinds of places like that all throughout the Philippines. And you can have your own little private resort and put a tent up there or something like that and just park along the side of the road. That's the way to have fun in the Philippines. But yes, if you're looking for places, they're out there. Check the reviews heavily. Ask questions on the phone when you call. Make sure that they have everything you need, and you get a good look at the rooms if you're going to be staying in a room there. Some of these resorts are just day resorts too, and that's also one of the things. Anyway, guys, God bless. Take care. I hope you enjoyed today's show, and be careful when you're shopping for a resort. Just remember that. Look at all the reviews and stuff like that, because there's a lot of these scam resorts where they lure you in, and then you go there and it's just a dump. And I've been to places up in Zambales where I wasn't too happy with. Half the things in the room were broken. Those are the places you got to stay away from. God bless, guys. Take care.